of credit, as Mr. Kumar rightly mentioned, that input tax credit needs to be rebated, needs to be offset against your output tax liability, and the chain has to operate. But in our experience, in my experience of about 20 years being a tax professional, I can tell you something. The largest litigation that we have seen in the VAT regime or the SENVAT regime or the manufacturing regime is on what is creditable and what is not. Plethora of judgments have come out on what is creditable and what is not, and that is because of the manner in which the provisions of law are so drafted. Now, if I have a situation then that the state revenue authorities are interpreting a particular provision in a certain manner and the central revenue officers are interpreting in a different manner, we are looking at a situation for the same transaction. Somebody is going to grant me credit, somebody will not grant me a credit. The question is, where does that convergence therefore happen? And until that happens, GST is going to be a disaster to my mind. But I think there are enough and more positives about it. The reason why I'm raising this point is that we must echo the concerns of the industry, the fraternity of the legal professions and what have you, that we need more time to be able to absorb and understand GST such that the transitional pains do not come to life. And as he rightly mentioned, and I have also experienced that in my career, when GST happens, it's going to be a shift in the business plan, in the business process, in the supply chain. What works for you in the sales tax regime or the VAT regime or the excise regime will no more work in your GST regime, because your software will have to go through a huge migration. Today, any ERP you take, whether it's an SAP or whether you take Oracle, whether you take JD Edwards or whatever else you may have, they are all designed to deal with your local templates or the local tax laws. Come April 1, whichever year, 2016, 17 or whatever, that ERP will have to look different. They will have to be mapped and they have to be synced with the existing law of GST as it is rolled out. And if you do not have that marking or mapping or customization of the software, your business will come to a halt. You would know how to bill, you will know what are the receivables, you will know what kind of raw materials you need, you will know how much of material to be supplied and to whom, what are your debtors are, what are your receivables are, and so on and so forth. So it is far more than a legislative change. We are not talking about what happened to income tax, where the Income Tax Act was being sought to be replaced by a direct tax code. It's not only a shift of legislation, it's a shift of mindset. It's a shift of system. It's a shift of revenue authorities thinking, and it's a shift of carrying on business in the country. And therefore, whenever you do speak with whoever you speak with, please raise this concern, because this is fundamental. Thank you very much. I think we are on time. I think we are on time for lunch, right? If you have any questions, happy to take, else we can talk across during lunch. Right.
See, we're talking about a two-tier GST system where we have a central and we have state GST. As per a report which I was reading, 70% of the taxes which are collected on the state are on alcoholic beverages and petroleum products. Now, these two taxes are being kept away from the central GST. Is it not like a step towards avoiding the trouble that you're talking about between state and the central legislature?
You got it right, absolutely right. So I'll share with you my experience in this aspect. The state of Delhi's revenue from sale of petroleum products is about 65%. And the state very openly declares that, look, if I have to forego my right to tax petroleum product, I'm going to go bankrupt. The same is the issue with alcohol. Okay, it's all about the state trying to maintain its sovereignty and independence, and that's the trade-off that is going to happen. That some of these sensitive items, the central government will say, okay, fine, for the moment we will not deal with it. Let's try and get the structure first. We'll deal with the smaller issues later. Because I may have committed, or the central government or the country may have, the sovereign may have committed to, we will do a GST by 2016. At least let's have some semblance of GST by 2016. If there are small riffraffs here and there, we'll do a trade-off. They're absolutely right. It's all about the state sovereignty or inability of the state governments to let go of that kind of revenue right now.
Mr. Malhotra, for you, I was thinking of asking this question. See, the center is in a mood of reducing litigation in terms of transfer pricing, right? So this year, Mr. Jaitley brought in like 3-4 good steps in the union budget. One of them was the rollback mechanism. Now, if you see India's APA program, only 4 has been like approved till date, and then there is kind of an halt. So I was speaking to a tax consultant. He said ki it's a globally phenomenon. It takes around 2 years for an application to get passed, right? Now, what I'm seeing, there is a like halt in the APA process. There are no applications which are approved. Now, if you see about the rollback mechanism, the benefit is only for the 4 people who have got their applications approved. Now, is that a like kind of, is it going to work out?
I think you raised a very right point. We also had a meeting with the Ministry of Finance. Now what happened is that AP has already concluded much more than 4. Only thing is that you need to get an approval from CBDT. Now the things are that because there was a change of the government, finance, there were, transfers of the commissioners and, all those things were pending. I think now thereafter they are determined to speed it up. AP has already concluded not only 4 but many. Only thing is they were all pending at the Ministry of Finance level, and now I think things are settled, transfers are all done, or maybe it would be done in next 15 days or so, and then I think it will catch up the speed. There is going to be a movement.
May I request Ms. Asa Tapase ji, she is the General Secretary of All India Panchayat. It's a body of a government undertaking under the Ministry of Rural Development. So she has the largest members in India. We have the largest population living in the rural area. To present a memento to our esteemed speaker, Mr. Ashok Kumar. Mr. Sujit Ghosh. We must thank Asa Tapase ji. She has come all along from Mumbai just for this event.
So nice of you. So nice of you.
Mr. Malhotra. Now they were standing for a quite long time between your lunch and so I hope we can have a lunch now.